Indonesia, a vast and diverse country of 200 million people that covers an area greater than the whole of Europe. Of all its 17,000 islands, Sulawesi is the most magical. Isolated by deep ocean trenches, it is home to more unique species than any place on Earth. But Sulawesi is under threat.
When you're sitting in Europe in your armchair watching a natural history programme and thinking, I'd like to make a difference, there is a way you can make a real difference. You can come out and run a project like this one and actually help scientists, because without the volunteers this whole project wouldn't run.
Volunteers from around the world are working alongside leading scientists to help conserve the rainforests of Sulawesi, diving on the pristine coral reefs surrounding the paradise island of Hoga. And they live with the Bajau sea gypsies of Sampella village.
I can imagine, like, the boat going like that.
In this programme, miles from anywhere and marooned at sea.
Just trying to get rid of this feeling of sickness in my stomach.
Will our volunteers ever make it to Hoga Island?
I think so long as we get to Hoga tonight, by dark, we'll survive.
It's 2 a.m. at the port of Donggala on the eastern coast of Buton Island. Our volunteer conservationists are about to set off in two cramped and rickety boats to the sun-kissed island of Hoga. Some have only just arrived from the UK, whilst others have already endured 2 weeks of exhausting jungle training and field work. For the next few weeks, their lives will revolve around the remarkable world of marine research, exploring one of the most spectacular underwater gardens on the planet. But for now, finding their sea legs is a top priority.
If any of you think that you might end up being a bit seasick, it might be easier to come up towards this end rather than be right down in the depths there.
I've not been seasick before, but I think one trick is just not to move about too much on the boat if it is rocking around.
I can imagine, like, the boat going like that, and we all rolling over like that from one side to the next.
The journey can take between 8 and 13 hours depending on how choppy it is, and one time it took 36 hours because it was so choppy they didn't go anywhere. So it's going to be fun. I mean, I've never actually been seasick yet. I've come close. This might be the first one.
But what about those smelly feet?
Yeah, people's feet smell just like people just generally smell anyway. It's just part of life. But I'm sure there'll be people around here that are going to reek halfway across the room.
And so, gently rocked by the swell of the ocean, the volunteers drift off to sleep. When they awake, they'll see the sparkling, unspoilt shoreline of Hoga Island. But this is Indonesia. And things have a habit of never quite going to plan.
Pretty much within an hour of leaving Donggala last night, we started getting engine problems. Up until now, they've sort of been able to fix them temporarily, and we've started and stopped. But we now look like we've hit a bit of a wall here, and we're drifting right in the middle of our journey. All we're going to hope is that the group that have already arrived on Hoga will actually send the boat back out and come and rescue us.
There's nothing for it but for Chris Majors to break out the rations.
A maximum of 5 plates a person.
Though given a choice between a bowl of porridge and Hoga's Golden Sands, it's no contest.
I was so excited about just crashing on a white beach today and just having the whole day off, but looks like we're going to be crashing up here instead.
The engine's well and truly a lost cause. I'd imagine right now Hoga's starting to wonder where we are.
The volunteers who've just arrived from the UK have already endured 6 punishing days on the move and are now beginning to wonder if their journey will ever end.
It's very exciting, but I feel like I've been travelling for absolutely ages now, and being stranded out here for the last 5 hours has been a little bit extra tough. But I mean, we could be in worse places.
With the constant rocking of the boat, some would rather be anywhere but here.
Just trying to get rid of this feeling of sickness in my stomach. It's really horrible. Just basically, I would like to relax on a beach, maybe today, if we ever get there in time, for the sun to stay out, just for a day. Just stop moving. It'd be great. Stop going sideways.
I think everyone's holding together pretty well. I think so long as we get to Hoga tonight, by dark, we'll survive.
The main thing that went through my head was sheer frustration. The two boats that we had, apparently travelling in convoy, were meant to stay within a few metres of each other all the way across. We'd had trouble with the two captains, who apparently don't like each other, and since one of the boats is much faster than the other boat, he tends to put his foot down and go as fast as he can over to Hoga, and we'd given him strict instructions to not do that. Unfortunately, I fell asleep during the night, and when I woke up, I looked behind me, and instead of it being a few metres behind, we couldn't even see it.
No amount of poking around with a screwdriver is going to bring this engineering antique back to life. Even the cockerel has lost track of time.
I said, is it a stupid question if I ask if we got any flares? And he said, yes, it's a stupid question, of course we haven't got any bloody flares.
For many, the novelty of being lost at sea has long since worn off. But help is finally on the horizon. After being adrift in open water for 10 hours, their ordeal is nearly over.
It's quite interesting when you do these things. You have to sit down and smile, and you have to be all calm and relaxed, and that's the way they do business here. You can do quite a severe reprimand while smiling and talking softly and gently. The shouting and screaming is definitely not totally against their culture. It will simply upset them, put their backs up, and nothing will happen at all. If you can sit down, smile at them, talk gently, whilst biting back the intention of throttling them if they ever try that stunt again, it's much more effective.
It's been a long day, but I thought it's been actually quite an adventure, really. It's kind of added to all of it, you know. I'll remember this boat trip forever. It's been the hardest, longest boat trip ever of my life.
A further bumpy 3 hours later, the volunteers finally get their first glimpse of Hoga Island.
I'm feeling great now. Now we're here. Now we've finally seen this mythical island of Hoga that everyone's been talking about for the last couple of months, and we've been waiting for 14 hours, 15 hours to finally see. I'm feeling a lot better, and I'm so glad I'm here, because we've just passed Dupa, I think it's called, which is that island over there, which is just idyllic. Just going past, and the sun is just like beating down on the beach. Clear sand, clear blue water all around the reef that's surrounding these islands. It's just fantastic.
Once ashore, but still feeling a little queasy, the new arrivals are met by Hoga's Mr. Fix-It, Julian Fudge.
Big welcome to Hoga, all our Hoga. Hope you have a good time here. There will be briefings after lunch this afternoon and some form signing, but for now, there'll be a staff member taking you in small groups around the facilities here. Please be careful where you walk, and please don't swim out to the reef crest. You haven't signed any waiver forms yet, and we haven't told you about currents. Thank you very much.
The formality's over. It's time to find out where they'll be sleeping for the next few weeks.
Okay, I'll introduce you to your landlord.
Okay.
And he'll take your bags up there.
Okay, thanks. Rachel's over this way as well, as is Jen. We've got neighbours.
For 20-year-olds Kay and Julia, it's just a short stroll to their hut before they can finally start to relax. It's called paradise.
Well, it's quite an adventure, really.
Their new home has been built by locals from the nearby island of Dupa, one of the ways Operation Wallacea boosts the local economy. When they wake up in the morning, this is what they'll find on their doorstep. Situated just 6 degrees south of the equator, Hoga lies at the centre of the Wakatobi Marine National Park. Established in 1996 and covering 186 square miles, the area is widely considered by experienced divers to be one of the best underwater sites in the world. While they're on Hoga, the volunteers will help to unlock some of the secrets of the deep, and in doing so, strengthen Operation Wallacea's mission to preserve this remarkable area for future generations.
Our proudest achievement is persuading the Indonesian government to set up the Wakatobi Marine National Park. It's the second largest marine national park in the whole of Indonesia. It's bigger than the whole of Greater London, and it's a huge achievement, and that was done solely by the work that Operation Wallacea did, and then lobbying the various government ministers.
And when nature turns down the lights in paradise, it's one of the most stunning sights in the world.
I'm actually feeling quite nervous now.
After the break,
Tastes good, smells good, no problems.
the volunteers finally get to grips with the big blue yonder.
Final okay.
Final okay, baby.
3,
But will they keep their nerve?
1, and go.
Having survived being marooned on their journey to Hoga Island, the volunteers of Operation Wallacea are about to begin their first day of dive training. 20-year-old Matt Willis is about to trade in his jungle boots for fins and face up to a completely new set of challenges.
Not nervous really at all at the moment, but I think this afternoon is going to be worse when we actually have to sort of start taking mask off and learning how to equalise and everything, which I'm not looking forward to at all. But at the moment I'm feeling good.
I'm actually feeling quite nervous now. I thought I was going to be okay, but when they give all the technicalities and maybe I have to go down and remove the mouthpiece and stuff, I'm a bit worried about all that coughing and splashing underwater and stuff.
The volunteers' passport to this underwater paradise is the internationally recognised PADI diving course. This will take them through a range of exercises from the shallows just off the beach to the more demanding and dangerous depths at the outer edge of the reef. But first things first.
If I lean back and you just click it in.
How to put on that crazy footwear.
It's going to be serious, this.
Sorry. Get your fins on it.
Don't tread on my fins.
You didn't have mine yet. I was on the foot. No, I didn't really have to. So, put your regulator in your mouth. And deflate. And just slowly go down. Sit on your knees.
Lesson 1. How to handle underwater problems. Simple accidents can happen to even the most experienced divers, and our trainees must prove that they can recover their breathing apparatus should it get knocked out of their mouths. Most learner divers start this way, working towards getting one of the million or so certificates awarded each year.
That was brilliant.
That was amazing. Yeah. My lips gone all salty.
That was really exciting actually, it was really cool. When I got under there you relax more as you start to like breathe, realise you can breathe and stuff, and it was really cool. A couple of problems in like clearing my mask, but otherwise it was getting there. It was cool. Since I was about 14 I've been snorkelling. We went to the Red Sea and been to Barrier Reef and stuff, and that was just so amazing. I instantly fell in love with the underwater world. I always really wanted to learn to scuba dive, so when I had the opportunity to come out here and learn, I just thought, wow, this would be the most amazing thing.
Could be a couple in Malta. You know,
Matthew Willis.
The centre of operations here on Hoga is the dive shed, run by Dan Johnston.
My job description is dive manager, so I look after the general, the well-being of the dive and on the island, everything from safety procedures to the logistics to the dive equipment to the running of the dive centre. Also, amongst that, we have 6 instructors. They do an enormous amount of dive training. not from just being novice divers, but straight through. We, do numerous continuing education programs. The dive shed's manned pretty much from 6 in the morning till 6 at night, and then if there's a night dive, it'll be manned. Come anywhere, it'll be up to 9 o'clock. So it's a full day for the guys in here. So in between dives, they're in here. They're looking after the equipment. They're just being on hand if there's any problems with it. Everyone's got any queries or their own equipment needs servicing. So there's always people on hand.
Obviously, with the amount of diving and the amount of dives that we've got going on, there's an awful lot of kit being used. So there's various problems that come back every day, from broken mouthpieces to free-flowing regulators, to having to take the first stages apart, unfortunately, where people just forget to put the dust caps on.
Tastes good, smells good, no problems.
Taking them through their diving paces is Jean Coop from Lancashire, who was a volunteer herself in 1996 and joined the staff in 2000.
It's the perfect place to learn in, and Jean was an excellent instructor and made us feel really safe all the time. She, was so clear about what we were doing. I never went down worrying about what I was supposed to be doing next.
With over 1,600 dives under her belt, Jean spent the equivalent of a month of her life underwater, and over 300 volunteers have benefited from her no-nonsense approach to diving.
Someone usually knows themselves if they're not suited to diving, and I think quite often they didn't really want to do it in the first place. They wanted to do it because the friend was doing it, or the boyfriend or the girlfriend was doing it, and they sort of got dragged along. It wasn't really what they wanted to do. So if the heart's not in it, they're not going to grit the teeth when the going gets a bit tough. But if they do really want to do it, then they will. It may take a little longer. Some people do take longer than others. It's all performance based. We give them the time that they need, and usually in the end they will make good divers.
We're going to kit up, so weight belt first, BCD on, and then we're going to do body check.
This is Ninka van Etten's first season as a diving instructor. A relative newcomer, this 26-year-old from Holland has still managed to clock up over 250 dives.
Right, so it was this is in your right hand.
Yeah, that's good. And then like that.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm going to demonstrate it first with Dodie, and what we'll do, I'll come up to you, you'll give me a nice big out of air sign.
We're going to go in the first time on the boat, on the Papalo. We're going to go to buoy 2. We're going to do a backwards roll. Going to do some skills, different ones that we did this morning, just to get them more comfortable in the water.
And then we're going to do no mask breathing. I don't know what it would be like breathing without the mask. I don't know, I may try and take it in my nose or something, but I don't know, see how it goes. It was fine this morning, putting a bit of water in, that was okay, so it's just getting in my eyes, it's all getting in my eyes, so I'll try and keep my eyes shut. But a minute's quite a long time, I guess, when you're underwater, so, I don't know.
Okay guys, come together. Jean's lot, all in the front. You can put your kid in the front. Semua kita di sini. Yeah?
For our volunteers, this is where it starts to get tricky.
Huh?
They're leaving behind the safety of the shallows for the uncertainty of the open sea.
I'm not making this up.
It will be physically and for some emotionally more demanding, but will give them access to Hoga's spectacular underwater garden.
Final okay.
Final okay, baby. I'm okay. Big white rabbits are. Big white rabbits are okay. I'm not too sure about rolling off this boat backwards, but Jean's assured me I will be fine, and I'm sure I will be. It's just the whole thing of I don't like going in the water backwards really, but it'll be fine, I'm sure. 3, 2, 1, and go. No. Woo! That's it, I've got it.
To prevent any accidental damage to the surrounding coral, the lesson takes place on a bamboo platform. The volunteers are first given a taste of what it feels like to run out of air. With her pulse racing and her lungs bursting, Julia must learn to stay calm and resist the temptation to bolt to the surface. Rachel's having problems clearing water from her mask. For Becky, removing her mask altogether is the biggest challenge of all. Swimming without a windscreen this far below the surface can be very scary. But she's handling it fine.
As soon as you stop and you've got a bit of time to yourself and look round, it's just incredible just to sort of look round and experience all the sights and sounds, because there are a lot of sounds down there. I didn't realise how loud it was going to be, and half of it I've got no idea where the sound's coming from.
You do that?
The other way.
The funny thing is, we started dancing down there, and then we started like doing that, and then I giggled, and you can't laugh with those things in your mouth. And she's like, hold on to it, she's laughing.
That's the first step towards their diving certificate over.
I think they were a little bit apprehensive about having to do the no mask swim, and I know one of the girls took a great deal of courage because she had taken a little bit of water up her nose when she'd got her mask off, but she coughed through a regulator, took a couple of deep breaths and composed herself and put her mask on. She didn't go for the surface, she controlled it, she did really, really well.
But life on Hoga is not all valves, masks, tanks and stress. There is time for life's real paradise pleasures. Join the volunteers of Operation Wallacea next time in their continuing quest of saving paradise.
Yes! Go! Love it!